Hey, beautiful peeps. Today we're not checking out Hammy Boy, nor are we checking out John Morris. We're going back to Roger Oakland. You know, the Gish-Galloper from last time. So let's see if he wants to Gish-Gallop some more, or whether we're actually going to get somewhere this time. So grab your facepalm gear and your snacks, get ready, and let's go. Because today, just like every other day of our fucking lives, young Earth creationists are gonna try to teach us something they know nothing about: our origins. So, yep, you need your facepalm gear and your snacks. I know Roger Oakland is kind of boring, but since I didn't get into a whole lot of his video because of all his Gish-Galloping, I figure I'll do him again and see if he's a bit more interesting and see if he's going to be able to Gish-Gallop some more. So, anyway, Roger, take it away. And while you're thinking about it, if you're new, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button? And if you've already subscribed to me, make sure you're still subscribed, because for some reason, YouTube loves to unsubscribe people. Also, if you're new here, I'd like to thank you very much for giving me a chance. And for my fans and subscribers, thank you so much for coming back. You are the lifeblood of this channel. And now, with that, let's get on with the video.
It is believed that all 450 breeds of dogs present today had a common ancestor. Most scientists believe that this ancestor was very similar to the present-day wolf. Scientists also witness natural selection, or survival of the fittest. Evolutionists and creationists agree that those animals that are the strongest, healthiest, or most adaptive to their environment are more likely to survive and go on to reproduce. The weaker animals, which are unable to adapt, are less likely to survive.
So, let me get this straight. You're not arguing with us about natural selection because you admit that natural selection happens. And you already know that mutations happen because we see them all the time. So whether you want to admit it or not, you acknowledge that evolution happens. You also admit that genetic mutation happens, because that's just dumb if you don't, because you see it all the time. So whether or not you like it or not, you acknowledge evolution happens. And don't give me this shit about microevolution and macroevolution, because you know what? By this point, I don't even think you buy your sorry excuse of microevolution and macroevolution. Let's take your example, dogs. You admit that dogs most likely descended from wolves. So help me to understand, there are hundreds of breeds of dogs. Plus there are different species of wolves. Hello? Like, why are you even fighting with us? You accept evolution. Period. Natural selection plus genetic mutation equals evolution. Done. It's over with. You people lost. You've thrown in the towel.
We also observe gene mutations occurring. The DNA in all living organisms contains all the genetic information of life. Sometimes an error is introduced in this genetic code. This is called a mutation. Mutations often cause disease and can be induced by radiation, chemical agents, or replication errors.
Mutations really do occur. They make all kinds of changes in genes. Birth defects, disease organisms, they're great at explaining the origin of disease, death, and disaster, not at all at explaining the origin of something new, some new trait that never exists. All the mutations we know about are only changes in genes that already exist.
Okay, peeps, you know the drill. I want to know who I'm dealing with. Dr. Gary Parker is a biologist who is employed by Answers in Genesis, and you know how Answers in Genesis is. They want to seem as legitimate as possible, so they employ legitimate people. Dr. Parker has several degrees from Ball State University, an accredited university in Indiana, and although he has an EDD, he has turned his back on legitimate biology. For a time, he was the head of the science department at Clearwater Christian University, which I should say is not an accredited university. And I must add that I find it odd that it's the science department. I mean, come on. It's supposed to be a college, right? Albeit a Christian college, it's supposed to be a college. They should have it down pat that science is separated into various fields. Come on, do better. And now for the cherry on top. He spent 12 years on the quote-unquote faculty of the Institute for Creation Research. Bravo, Dr. Parker, bravo. And now with that intro out of the way, and yes, I am fair, okay? Gene mutations do happen. You just said that. And I jumped the gun because I was like, I didn't know whether you were going to do it or not. So, yeah, mutations happen. So, what's the problem here? As if working for Answers in Genesis was not enough, now I know that this dude is lying because this dude is a legitimate biologist and he knows about gene duplication. Hell, even I know about gene duplication. And gene duplication means that you can have two identical genes. One gene can be left alone while the other one mutates. It's not hard. Not only that, but unless the student's had his head stuck in the sand for the past 10 years, which, to be frank, would not surprise me, he has heard of families who are immune to heart attacks and also people who have very strong bones and would have to try very, very hard to break those bones. Those are favorable mutations. You see, Dr. Parker, you can lie about reality all you want, but that does not make your pet fairy tale come true. Reality is still reality, and truth is still truth, and truth will prevail, whether you want it to or not.
You have such a wide variety of life, and I don't think it's possible for one person. I mean, no matter how powerful he might be, to just snap his fingers and create life. It has to come out naturally over millions of years, probably.
I don't believe in the theory of evolution. More and more, even secular scientists are changing their viewpoints because the evidence doesn't support their conclusions.
Half of me believes in the theory of evolution, probably because that's what I was taught.
4 years of studies, unfortunately, have kind of brainwashed me towards evolution.
Have you ever noticed that these people never ask experts about the theory of evolution? I wonder why that is. Maybe just maybe because they'd have their asses handed to them on a silver platter. I don't know, just a guess. And the first dude they talked to, I don't know who you are, dude, but bravo, bravo, telling them off to their faces. And then I'm guessing they're like, oops, we'd better be a little more careful. Either that or they just put in that for the edit and then were just like dishonest. But then notice the last two people they talked to. One's like, oh, I half believe in evolution, half not. And then the last person they talked to is, well, the last 4 years have brainwashed me into believing in evolution. I'm guessing he's talking about college, but unless you're majoring in anthropology, biology, or a biological related field, evolution hardly ever comes up. Now, I did learn about evolution in my psychology classes, but psychology inevitably talks about neuroscience, and neuroscience is a biology related field. Not only that, but college teaches you how to research, and they don't say, and believe me, because I've been to college, they don't say, oh, believe me because I'm right. That's what religious people do, and that's what this is all about. They are trying to portray us as them. If you're like the last dude they talked to, which in my humble opinion was coached, but anyway, um, then go look it up for yourself. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of papers that detail evolution and evolution in action. And, you know, these are not hidden. This is what Google Scholar's for. And speaking of research papers, if you decide to use a research paper to bolster your credibility, yeah, then don't cherry pick a sentence from the abstract. That drives people like me, scientifically minded people, crazy. They cannot talk to an expert because they know that if they talk to an expert, the expert will either laugh them right out of the room or they will spank them so badly that they have to get out of the room before anybody recognizes the fact that they got spanked badly.
We begin where evolutionists say it all began, with the Big Bang and the evolution of the universe.
One interesting aspect of evolutionary theory is that it's such a powerful theory, and it's exercises such a strong hold over the imaginations of scientists that they've applied it outside the biological realm. They've applied it to inanimate things as well. They've applied it to the chemical elements, to stars, to galaxies. It's said that the universe itself is evolving.
Did the Big Bang trigger the formation of galaxies, stars, planets, and ultimately life?
Is there any order coming out of a big explosion? I would say not in any way. Explosions cause chaos and random distribution of various parts that were there perhaps as a united organisation beforehand. Any explosion renders that completely null and void. There is no evidence to my mind that an explosion or even the Big Bang Theory can ultimately produce organised beings like ourselves or any other animal.
Here we go again with the big Gish-Gallop and the conflation. What a surprise. You know, I wouldn't even be mad. I'm not mad at the, regular yuckers who don't know this stuff, okay? But I definitely am mad at the apologists because the apologists know they're conflating theories. The regular yuckers, forgive them, okay? They don't know. In fact, if there are any regular yuckers out there, which is my term for the YECs, okay? I actually feel sorry for you because you've been lied to. I've been in your position and I found out the truth, okay? So, my advice is to look into it for yourself. Now, to the point of this clip. Evolutionists do not say that everything happened at the Big Bang. Why? Because evolutionists, quote unquote, do not study what came before evolution. I'm assuming you're talking about the scientists. Not only that, but there are plenty of theistic evolutionists out there, meaning they believe that God created, say, the universe and just let it do its thing. You know, there are plenty of theistic evolutionists out there. So you are way off base. Think again. Let me get this straight. You're interviewing an author, just an author, and you want us to take his word seriously. Are you fucking kidding me? Now, as to his point, no, scientists don't have an imagination. That is for you. Now, obviously, it takes some kind of creativity to come up with these hypotheses, but these are just hypotheses, you know? And I don't see a scientist hypothesizing that a rainbow unicorn farted out the universe. You know, I mean, they hypothesize reasonable things. Not only that, but these hypotheses are testable and falsifiable. And you know what? If they find that their hypothesis has been falsified, you know what they do? They don't go on pretending in the fairy tale they dreamed up. They throw it in the garbage where it belongs and start over. Okay, so by saying that the universe itself is evolving, I'm assuming that you mean the basic definition of evolution, which is just change over time. The universe is evolving. The earth is evolving. What is untenable about that position? What is your problem? Finally, we get to the question of the Big Bang. Did the Big Bang start the universe? Well, the honest answer is we don't know. But it is the theory that answers the most questions. It is the most comprehensive theory we have right now. I wish you people would stop calling the Big Bang an explosion. It was not an explosion. It was an expansion of a universe. Think about a balloon, okay? I know it's not quite right, but think about a balloon. A balloon expands when you blow it up. It doesn't explode until you blow it up too much. And yes, I know the balloon example isn't anywhere near what the Big Bang was, but it's the nearest I could come to an analogy where these idiots could understand it. Okay, now let me tell you again. The Big Bang was the expansion of space-time itself.
Yes. The idea that the cosmos evolved also violates the second law of thermodynamics known as entropy. The second law states that as time advances, the universe becomes less ordered. Over time, all systems left on their own proceed in a direction from order to disorder. All of us witness entropy every day as we see things age and deteriorate. This breakdown of structure directly contradicts the theory of evolution.
Now, the second law allows you to increase in order, like a baby growing into adulthood or seed into a tree, but if and only if you have an outside energy source and a harnessing mechanism to capture that energy. Evolutionists don't.
Really, people? The second law of thermodynamics? We've explained to you over and over and over why the second law of thermodynamics does not apply to the universe. Please, stop this. It maintains that an isolated system that uses spontaneous evolution, like our universe, the entropy will not decrease because at some point it will reach thermodynamic equilibrium. So I would like to state that just for clarity. The energy of the universe is constant. The entropy of the universe tends toward a maximum. The number of microstates that we observe are increasing because we have observable evidence that the universe is expanding. Another point to the Big Bang. Entropy is a word that gets used, or misused rather, far too often because there are many definitions to the word entropy. However, I believe that when the Yuckers are talking about entropy, they're most likely talking about Clausius. Clausius entropy only applies to systems that are in thermodynamic equilibrium. There is no way for us to know about this, about the universe, because there is no concept of heat and all that good stuff. So at the end of that clip, you hear a guy saying that the Big Bang is in trouble because of the second law of thermodynamics. I have already debunked that because it does not apply to the universe. Now, sometime in the future, when both of my arms heal, I will look into this second law and what it means and the universe and all that jazz. But for right now, for you curious cats, go to Leophilius. Because to be honest, I only have like a grade school knowledge of this stuff. But if I can debunk this stuff with only a grade school knowledge, and I mean grade 12 of second law, how much more can physicists do it?
Things are running down. Stars are burning up their fuel. Once in a while, a star will explode and goes from order to disorder very quickly. But the only thing we see in the universe today is the universe is running down. It's deteriorating. It's going from order to disorder. It's going to less and less organization.
Okay, so that clip you just saw, the web address is right above my head, and as you can see, stars are forming right now. They are called stellar nurseries, and yes, stars are also dying. So then, let me ask you this, Mr. I know everything. If the universe is winding down, and there are dying stars to prove it, why are stars being born? It sounds just like the cycle of life, for lack of a better term. Gish does have a legitimate bachelor's from UCLA and a legitimate PhD from UC Berkeley, and he was also a professor at Cornell, I believe. However, this does not mean that his take on creationism is correct. People, please stop your appeals to authority, especially when that appeal to authority is not even in the field that you're trying to appeal to an authority in. He's not even in evolution. He's not a cosmologist either. So he cannot speak with authority on cosmology. He can only speak with authority on biochemistry. And I get the feeling that he only got that degree so he could speak to creationists. Oh, and just in case you were wondering, this is the dude where we got the good old Gish-Gallop from. Yeah, we named it after him. Gish. Get it? Gish-Gallop? Yeah. So anyway, yep, he invented the Gish-Gallop.
NASA scientist Robert Jastrow wrote, "The second law of thermodynamics applied to the cosmos indicates the universe is running down like a clock. If it is running down, there must have been a time when it was fully wound up. The next obvious question is, who wound it up?"
I have no idea where they got this particular quote from. It doesn't mean he didn't say it, but it does mean if it was an important quote, wouldn't it be on the internet somewhere instead of hidden away in one of his books, which, by the way, he was an author? I don't have a problem with Christians being scientists. Take Mary Leakey as an example. What I have a problem with is Christians who use their faith to twist science to say what they want it to say, and so that others will believe what they say. At any rate, it doesn't really matter what Jastrow said because he was a self-proclaimed agnostic, even though he did have some things to say about the Bible. He was still an agnostic.
Gordon Van Wylen addressed the question squarely in his book Thermodynamics when he wrote, "The author has found that the second law tends to increase his conviction that there is a creator who has the answer for the future destiny of man and the universe."
We only see destruction, we never see innovation. And this, I think, is what the creationist model has been posing all along, that in the beginning things were very good, they were perfect, just like God wanted.
Okay, I got a few questions. Who the fuck is Gordon Van Wylen? Why are you going back to 1959 for a quote? And is this a quote mine? You're not going to answer any of them, so I guess I have to answer them myself. I did find out who this Van Wylen dude was. He died in 2020. He was a Christian physicist who incidentally got a doctorate from MIT. Now, just because somebody is a Christian doesn't mean they do bad science, but you do have to question if their faith had anything to do with their conclusions when their conclusions run against the consensus of science. I also could not find what his doctorate was in, so I don't even know if it was in physics at all, meaning I don't even know whether the quote mine is accurate. And to be fair, no, I don't know if it is a quote mine. Because this guy is a Christian, it could just be a plain out quote from his book, Thermodynamics. But I have to ask, why are they going all the way back to 1959 when there are reprints? It's almost as if one of the editors from one of the reprints said, "Oh, wait a minute, why do we have a mention of a creator in a textbook? Because a creator has no place in science. It is unfalsifiable. Now, if you want to believe in God, and it doesn't hurt anybody, and it doesn't hurt the education system any, I say go nuts. Do what makes you happy. But for Pete's sake, don't try selling us this bullshit with scientific claims that are not scientific claims. Now, since I'm such a nice person, I will answer a question I get from Christians a lot. Why do atheists go against Christians? First of all, we don't hate Christians. At least most of us don't. I don't, okay? The reason is because you don't leave us alone. Leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. We only see destruction, not innovation. Well, right off the bat, you're wrong, because stars are forming all around us. Yeah, they blow up, but that's the life cycle of the star. That's the life cycle of everything. Things live, things die. Big deal. Stars are being born. Now, if you want to talk about humans winding down, aka dying, then you've got to look at our telomeres, because we basically die because our telomeres get shorter from old age. Old age only. You know, you died in an accident, that has nothing to do with your telomeres. And so now I guess I have to explain what telomeres are to a dumbass who is too lazy to look it up for themselves. Telomeres are the ends of our chromosomes, okay? That's what they are. That's how we know that two chimp chromosomes combined into one. That's basically how the Homo line emerged. I mean, there's a bunch more shit. I mean, it's complicated. But there is nowhere else in nature, nowhere, where we find two telomeres in the middle of a chromosome. And yes, I am aware of polyploidy, but I am not aware that polyploidy sticks two telomeres together. If, however, I am wrong in my assertion, I assure you I am open to being corrected, so leave it in the comments, please. Well, would you look at that? A quote-unquote film that uses the good old Gish-Gallop has the father of the Gish-Gallop in it. Wow, that's no wonder they use it so much. But to be fair, it is a film called Origins. Unfortunately, they have no idea what that means. Who would have thunk that people who don't really get out of their brainwashed churchy world into the real world would know what origins means? You know, I mean, there's like different sciences. It's not just one science. Come on, anybody knows this stuff. Minor nitpick, not just anybody. I don't really blame the brainwashed yuckers. You know, they're just brainwashed. But at some point, they have to figure this stuff out, right? Who I blame is the yucker leadership. They definitely know what's going on. They definitely know that they are lying, and they dismiss it. Anyway, if you like this video, check out my other videos. If you like my channel, please subscribe. Consider becoming a member. You can become a member for as low as 99 cents a month. You get perks like custom emojis and all that good stuff. You also get these first. Don't forget to like and leave a comment down below. It really helps the algorithm. And if you would, go ahead and share this around if you feel that it deserves some sharing. Alrighty. Anyway, if you stuck with me through all that nonsense that I had to debunk, and there's a lot more nonsense to come, believe me, congratulations. Pat yourself on the back and, go get you a drink. Recover some of your neurons. Bye.